This is Cycle 3, Week 21. And this week we're going to have our timeline cards. We're going to learn about an associative law in math. We're going to learn about United States astronauts, some Native American regions. We're going to learn about the theory of evolution, the subordinate clause, and John 1:6. So just to give you a preview of what we're doing today, and many of you can see I'm outside because it's beautiful. So I hope you're spending a lot of time outside playing and just thanking the Lord for making spring come and making all the things so beautiful. So we're going to get started with timeline, and I have our song that we're going to sing together. Let's see if I can move it so you can hear it.
Nations formed the Cold War.
Oh, the Cold War.
India's independence. Jewish state established. Mao and communist victory in China. North Atlantic.
I got a little behind there. So let's go over those again. We've got World War II and President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Next up, we've got Stalin of the USSR and the Katyn Massacre. We might have to listen to the song and see if I'm saying that right. The United Nations formed. The Cold War. Gandhi's independence. Gandhi and India's independence. The Jewish state established. Mao and communist victory in China. Okay, one more time for the timeline song. Here we go.
World War II and President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Stalin of the USSR and the Katyn Massacre. The United Nations formed the Cold War. Gandhi and India's independence. Jewish state established. Mao and communist victory in China. North Atlantic.
Okay, this week in math, we're talking about the associative law for addition and the associative law for multiplication. So I want you to think about the word associative. Now, some of you bigger kids might know or know the word associate. Now, if you associate with someone, you kind of hang out with them. You do the same things as them. You go to the park with them. So the associative property means that they can hang out, and I'll tell you who they is, that they can hang out with whoever they want, and you're going to get the same answer, okay? So let's look at this. The associative property for addition. Now, what in the world do we have here? We have all of these letters. Now, these letters really represent numbers, but we're just going to talk about the letters, okay? So this associative law is telling me that if I do A plus B first, and then I add C, I'm going to get the same answer if I do B plus C first, and then add A. So it's telling me that either way I add these three numbers up, I'm going to get the same answer. That's what the equal sign means. And guess what, guys? It's the same thing for multiplication. I can multiply A times B and then multiply that by C and get the same answer if I multiply B times C and multiply that times A. So when you see all of this, I want you to think that you can associate with all different kinds of people. Now, this only works for addition and multiplication, so I want you to remember that. Okay, so for our song, it's going to go something like this. The associative property of addition, open parentheses, A plus B, close parentheses, plus C, equals, make an equal sign, A plus open parentheses, B plus C, close parentheses. You got that? I kind of forgot the tune. So let's do it again. Ready? Open parentheses, A plus B, close parentheses, plus a C, equals the next thing, A plus plus, open parentheses, B plus C, close parentheses, now you'll see. Whew, what do you guys think about that? Let's do it one more time. You ready? I'm going to put it right down here. Open parentheses, A plus B, close parentheses, plus a C, equals A plus, open parentheses, B plus C, close your parentheses, and you'll see. Okay, and guess what, guys? For multiplication, it's the same thing. So ready? The associative law of multiplication, open parentheses, A times B, close parentheses, times C, equals A, that's a B, A times, open parentheses, B times C, close parentheses. All right, let's try that again. You ready? Open parentheses, A times B, close parentheses, times C, equals A times, what's next, do you know? Open parentheses, B times C, close parentheses. What do you think? I think that was kind of silly to do it with a song, and I don't know if we can handle all of that. So let's just do the motions. We're going to do it one more time. The words are down here so you can remember. You ready? The associative law of addition. Make sure for addition we make a cross. So now we're going to go open parentheses, A plus B, close parentheses, plus C, equals A plus, open parentheses, B plus C, close parentheses. All right? And the last one, the associative property of multiplication. Now, instead of a cross, multiplication, make it an X, okay? Open parentheses, A times B, close parentheses, times C, equals A times, open parentheses, B times C, close parentheses. I hope you guys got that. This week in history, our Senate states, tell me about U.S. astronauts. In 1969, U.S. astronauts Neil Armstrong and Edwin Aldrin were the first men to walk on the moon. Now, we're going to take a little trip to outer space to hear our song.
In 1969, U.S. astronauts Neil Armstrong and Edwin Aldrin were the first men to walk on the moon. In 1969, U.S. astronauts Neil Armstrong and Edwin Aldrin were the first men to walk on the moon.
Now presenting the astronauts, Miss Megan and Jace. The moon, Mr. Brandon Black. Ooh. And the stars, Miss Kinsler Black. Okay, look at our crazy map this week. This week we're talking about territories, and territories are whole areas, so that's why it's all colored in. I'm going to show you two different maps, so hopefully you can understand. Now, let's think about it real quick. Over here we have our compass. Remember, north, east, south, west. So the first one over here is this blue area. That is the eastern woodlands. And then we have right here in red are the plains territory. Then if you go over here, this green part with the stripes, this is the Great Basin area. Then we're going to go up here to these blue polka dots. That's the Plateau territory. Now, this area right here, the blue stripes, is California territory. Now, this solid black is the Southwest Territory. I should have known that. It's in the South. Now, let's go back. We've got one more, but I want you to think about Alaska. Is Alaska really way down here? No, Alaska's way up here. So this area and this black part are both part of the Northwest coast. Now, let's do that again. We have the Eastern Territory, the Eastern Woodlands Territory. Then we have the Plains Territory, the Great Basin Territory. Up here, the polka dots is the Plateau Territory, California, the Southwest Territory, and then remember, this part of Alaska and up here are both part of the Northwest coast. Now, I'm going to show you one more map so you can hear them all again. And this is a map. Can y'all see that? Is the shadow too bad? Okay, so this map, you might can see the colors a little better. The pink is the Eastern Woodlands. Now, let's look. It says pink and purple, but they're both Eastern Woodlands. One's just the north and one's the south. So all of this area over here is the Eastern Woodlands. Then you have the green, the Plains Territory, all right here. Then you have the green Southwest Territory. You have the Great Basin right here that's yellow, the Plateau Territory, the California Territory, and then we have the Northwest Coast Territory that's here in Alaska and also up here in Washington. So I hope that helps you guys, and you could probably find a map and label these on your map as well. Okay, this week in science, the question is, what does the theory of evolution rely on? The theory of evolution relies on the belief that life began as a chance combination of non-living things. What does the theory of evolution rely on? The theory of evolution relies on the belief that life began as a chance combination of non-living things. One more time. What does the theory of evolution rely on? The theory of evolution relies on the belief that life began as a chance combination of non-living things. Now, for English, we're going to talk about a subordinate clause. A subordinate clause, also known as a dependent clause, does not express a complete thought and cannot stand alone. So, I want you to stand up from where you are, and guess what, guys? I'm outside today, so I can stand up. All right? So, we can't stand alone, but I want you to be a flamingo. You ready? So everybody's got their flamingos. A subordinate clause, also known as a dependent clause, does not express a complete thought and cannot stand alone. It would fall. Okay, you ready? Repeat after me. A subordinate clause, also known as a dependent clause. Dependent means you depend on something. Does not express a complete thought and cannot stand alone. It would fall. Okay? One more time. It's also known as a dependent clause. You got to depend on something else. Does not express a complete thought and cannot stand alone. Okay? So, let me say that one more time. A subordinate clause, also known as a dependent clause, does not express a complete thought and cannot stand alone. Okay, and the last thing we're going to do today is Latin. Now, we are all the way on John 1:6, and there's another part of it. Let me get my paper out. John 1:6. All right. Okay, we've got some words here that we need to make sure we know how to pronounce. Kui, nomen, eret, lohanes. You practice with me. Kui, nomen, eret, lohanes, whose name was John. Kui, nomen, eret, lohanes, whose name was John. Okay, we're going to do it one more time. You ready? John 1:6 states, Kui, nomen, eret, lohanes, whose name was God. Okay, guys, that wraps up this week. Let's go. Okay, guys, to review everything that we've talked about today, we talked about World War II and President Franklin D. Roosevelt, Stalin of the USSR and the Katyn Massacre, the United Nations formed, the Cold War, Gandhi and India's independence, Jewish state established, Mao and the communist victory in China. Okay, next up we talked about the associative law of addition and multiplication. Remember, we did our motions. We did open parentheses, A plus B, close parentheses, plus C equals A plus open parentheses, B plus C, close parentheses. That was addition, and multiplication is very similar. Open parentheses, A times B, close parentheses, times C equals A times, open parentheses, B times C, close parentheses. Okay? And then remember, this week we took a trip to the moon. In 1969, U.S. astronauts Neil Armstrong and Edwin Aldrin were the first men to walk on the moon. It kind of made me think of Outer Space Song. What about you? Okay? And then remember, we talked about the Native American regions. They were the eastern woodlands, the plains, plateau, the northwest coast, California, the Great Basin, and Southwest. Then we talked about, what does the theory of evolution rely on? The theory of evolution relies on the belief that life began as a chance combination of non-living things. Then we talked about a subordinate clause, also known as a dependent clause, does not express a complete thought and cannot stand alone. You remember that? Okay, and then John 1:6 was Kui nomen eret lohanes, whose name was John. Guys, I hope you enjoy the sunshine this weekend or this week. I hope that you enjoy reviewing with this or hearing it for the first time. I want you to know that I love you and I'm praying for you. I want you to know how special you are. And I just want you to have a great week this week and go outside and have some fun. I'll talk to you guys later.